The lotion you're rubbing into your baby's eczema right now may be the reason it keeps coming back. 7 of the most popular baby lotions in the United States, brands recommended by pediatricians, displayed in hospital gift bags, and stamped with seals of approval, are triggering secondary skin reactions that look identical to worsening eczema. Some are doing something far worse. They're programming your baby's immune system to develop food allergies your child will carry for life. Every brand will be named. Both mechanisms will be explained. And by the end, you'll know exactly what to use instead. Before naming a single brand, you need to understand what's actually happening on your baby's skin. Because these lotions don't cause harm in one way. They cause harm in 2 entirely separate ways. And the distinction matters. The first mechanism is chemical. Mass-market lotions rely on synthetic preservatives and undisclosed fragrance compounds to stay shelf-stable and smell appealing. When these chemicals contact your baby's compromised skin barrier, they trigger a reaction called allergic contact dermatitis. To a parent, this allergic reaction looks exactly like a worsening eczema flare. The same redness, the same scaling, the same miserable itching. So you do what any parent would do. You apply more lotion, and the cycle deepens. The second mechanism is immunological, and it comes from the brands you'd least suspect. The natural ones. Groundbreaking research in pediatric immunology has proven that when intact food proteins like oat, dairy, or almond oil are applied to broken eczema skin, they bypass the digestive system entirely. Instead of being recognized as food, your baby's immune system registers them as invaders and builds antibodies against them. Months later, when your child eats that food for the first time, those antibodies trigger a severe allergic reaction, sometimes anaphylaxis. The lotion didn't just fail to fix the eczema, it created a new lifelong disease. One more thing. Several lotions on this list carry the National Eczema Association seal of acceptance. That seal evaluates products for immediate irritation and moisture retention. It does not evaluate whether food proteins in the formula can drive transcutaneous sensitization. The seal's criteria haven't caught up with the science. Do not let it override what you're about to learn. Number 7. Baby Dove Sensitive Moisture Lotion. The word hypoallergenic appears prominently on every Baby Dove sensitive moisture bottle. So does fragrance-free. For a parent scanning the shelf with a screaming baby in the cart, those 2 words end the search. The problem is that hypoallergenic has no federal definition. The FDA does not regulate the term. It requires no clinical proof. Any manufacturer can print it on anything. Behind that reassuring label sits a formulation preserved with phenoxyethanol, a broad-spectrum antimicrobial that replaced parabens across the industry and was marketed as the gentler alternative. It isn't. French health authorities reviewed the toxicological evidence and concluded phenoxyethanol should be restricted to 0.4% in products for children under 3 and banned entirely from the diaper area. Data presented at the 2024 American Academy of Dermatology meeting identified it as one of the most common allergens in top-selling infant skincare. The US FDA has imposed no concentration limits, no restrictions, and no warnings. Baby Dove uses it in a product that claims it won't cause allergic reactions, a claim no one is required to prove. Number 6. Johnson's Baby Bedtime Lotion. Johnson's has spent decades embedding itself in maternity wards. The pink bottle is iconic. The scent is what most Americans associate with the very concept of a clean baby. That scent is also a regulatory black box. Under current U.S. law, the word fragrance on an ingredient label is a legally protected trade secret. It can conceal hundreds of undisclosed synthetic chemicals, including phthalates, endocrine disruptors linked to developmental and reproductive harm. Because Kenvoy classifies its scent formulas as proprietary, no parent can determine what their newborn is actually absorbing. The EU requires individual fragrance allergen disclosure above trace thresholds. The United States does not. The FDA's proposed rulemaking on fragrance allergen labeling isn't expected until mid-2026. Until then, every application is an act of blind trust. Number 5. CeraVe Baby Moisturizing Lotion. CeraVe's selling point is the science. 3 essential ceramides designed to physically rebuild the compromised skin barrier. Lipids identical to the ones your baby's skin should be producing on its own. The logic is sound. The delivery system undermines it. Carafe Baby is preserved with phenoxyethanol, the same chemical French regulators restricted in pediatric products. When that restriction was challenged in court, it was overturned on jurisdictional grounds, not toxicological ones. The underlying safety concern stands. The US FDA has imposed no concentration limits and no specialized labeling. American babies receive the same chemical load that French toxicologists deemed hazardous, delivered through a lotion marketed as science-backed skincare. The ceramides repair the barrier. The preservative inflames it. The infant's skin fights both battles simultaneously. Number 4. Aquaphor Baby Healing Ointment. Every pediatrician in America recommends Aquaphor for diaper rash, for dry patches, for cracked winter skin. It's the universal default. You trust it because your doctor told you to, and your mother used it, and the tube has been in your diaper bag since week 1. Aquaphor is not pure petrolatum. It's a compound ointment, 41% petrolatum mixed with mineral oil, sericin, panthenol, and lanolin alcohol. Lanolin is a natural wax derived from sheep's wool. It's also the chemical the American Contact Dermatitis Society named Contact Allergen of the Year in 2023, a designation reserved for ingredients causing an epidemic of severe skin reactions. Healthy adult skin can typically tolerate lanolin without incident, but Aquaphor isn't marketed for healthy adult skin. It's marketed for raw, blistered, fissured infant skin, the exact tissue type where lanolin penetrates deepest and triggers the most aggressive immune response. The severity of this mismatch recently prompted a class action lawsuit against Beiersdorf, alleging that lanolin alcohol in Aquaphor Baby represents an undisclosed hazard to children with compromised skin barriers. The ointment prescribed to heal the rash may be the reason the rash won't heal. Number 3. Burt's Bees Baby Nourishing Lotion. The label reads 99.0% natural origin. The beeswax and honey branding signals earth, simplicity, purity. You paid more because you wanted to avoid the synthetic problems we just covered with Johnson's and Dove. The danger hiding inside this bottle is different, and in some ways, more consequential. The formulation includes buttermilk powder, listed as butyris lax. That's intact dairy protein, applied topically to your baby's skin. If your infant has even mild eczema, microfissures invisible to the naked eye, those milk proteins pass directly through the broken barrier and into the dermis. In inflamed skin, the immune system doesn't recognize dairy as nourishment. It registers it as a threat and begins producing dairy-specific IgE antibodies, the same antibodies that trigger severe allergic reactions. Your baby is now sensitized to milk and shows no symptoms whatsoever. The reaction comes later when you introduce dairy orally. A cup of yogurt, a slice of cheese, and the pre-existing antibodies trigger a systemic allergic response that can escalate to anaphylaxis. Compounding this, the formula also contains phenoxyethanol and a generic fragrance listing alongside limonene. The natural branding conceals a product attacking on both fronts simultaneously. Number 2. Tubby Todd All-Over Ointment. For years, Tubby Todd's all-over ointment was the holy grail of the clean baby community. Parents paid over $20 a jar specifically because the formula was simple: beeswax, jojoba esters, plant extracts, and effective without the ingredients they were trying to avoid. Then the company quietly changed the formula. Tubby Todd added 1% colloidal oatmeal to a product that already contained sweet almond oil. Their own marketing acknowledges the change, framing it as identical to the original with just one added ingredient. That one ingredient transformed the ointment from a relatively inert emollient into a dual-vector sensitization risk: oat protein on broken skin, almond protein on broken skin, both applied to the exact population: infants with stubborn, active eczema, where the skin barrier is most compromised and absorption through the skin is highest. Clinical literature has documented that topical application of almond oil to infant skin induces class 4 anti-almond IgE sensitization, leading to systemic tree nut allergies without the child ever having eaten a nut. Parents who'd built their entire skincare routine around avoiding allergens were blindsided. The reformulated product now carries the NEA seal of acceptance. The seal's criteria rewarded the addition of oatmeal for its immediate anti-inflammatory properties. The delayed immunological cost didn't factor into the evaluation. Number 1. Aveeno Baby Eczema Therapy. It's printed on hospital discharge papers. It's stocked at eye level in every pharmacy in the country. It carries the NEA seal and says Eczema Therapy on the tube. Aveeno isn't just a brand pediatricians mention, it's the default setting of the entire American infant skincare system, and its entire therapeutic architecture is built on a concentrated food protein applied directly to broken skin. The active ingredient is 1% colloidal oatmeal, surrounded by additional oat kernel extract and oat kernel oil, what Aveeno calls its triple oat complex. Colloidal oatmeal does reduce immediate itching and inflammation. That's real. That's documented. That's also why parents use it aggressively on their baby's worst flares, the exact moments when the skin barrier is most shattered and the dermal immune system is most exposed. The landmark EAT study, a randomized clinical trial of 1,303 infants published in JAMA Pediatrics, established that each additional moisturization per week in early infancy increased the adjusted odds of developing a food allergy by 20%. For infants who already had visible eczema, the risk was amplified. A separate study published in the journal Allergy tested children with atopic dermatitis who routinely used oat-based topical creams and found that 32% had developed oat-specific sensitization. In the control group of non-users, the number was 0. Clinical case reports have documented infants suffering anaphylaxis upon their first oral exposure to oats, children who had never eaten oatmeal in their lives. The immunologists traced the sensitization directly to the repeated cutaneous application of oat-based eczema creams. Aveeno markets this product to the parents most desperate for relief, for the babies whose skin is most broken, during the exact developmental window when the immune system is most susceptible to sensitization through the skin. The lotion soothes the rash today. The immune system remembers forever. The safest approach to infant eczema care requires 2 things: no intact food proteins and no harsh synthetic preservatives. That eliminates most of what's on the shelf, but not everything. Pipette Baby Lotion in fragrance-free uses a biomimetic base of squalane, ceramides, and glycerin. No mineral oil, no synthetic fragrance, no phenoxyethanol. It relies on potassium sorbate and hydroxyacetophenone for preservation, gentler alternatives with lower sensitization profiles. It's widely available and mid-range in price. California Baby Super Sensitive Everyday Lotion is completely fragrance-free and formulated without oat, dairy, soy, or tree nuts. Its preservative system is 100% plant-derived, using isolates of basil and anise instead of synthetic preservatives. It is explicitly allergy tested for the transcutaneous sensitization pathway. It costs more, but for families managing active eczema on highly reactive skin, it eliminates both mechanisms of harm discussed in this video. If budget is the deciding factor, 100% pure white petrolatum, plain Vaseline, nothing added, physically occludes the skin barrier without introducing food proteins, fragrance chemicals, or lanolin. It's not elegant, it won't win any aesthetic awards, but it seals moisture in without delivering a single reactive molecule to your baby's dermis. For under $4, it outperforms most of what the premium market is selling. Whatever you choose, read the full ingredient list. The gut builds tolerance, the skin builds allergies. If you see colloidal oatmeal, sweet almond oil, buttermilk, or any food-derived protein, and your baby has active eczema, set it back on the shelf. If you see fragrance or parfum listed without individual components disclosed, that's a regulatory gap you shouldn't have to navigate, but right now, you do. The hardest part of this information is that you were doing the right thing. You bought the lotion the doctor recommended. You chose the brand with the eczema seal. You paid more for the natural option. None of this is your fault. The science moved faster than the labels, and the companies didn't update because the old formulas still sell. Now you know what they know. Which of these brands were you using? And what other baby products do you want us to investigate next?